Well, Hannah and everybody, welcome. And I'm so honored that you asked me to host this, Hannah. And I am so proud of you for what you've done here and grateful to you for what you've done for the field of psychology, for the three principles, to lay out the story of what has happened in the last 40 some years with our field. And,
Mhm.
I've been I got into this profession because I wanted to help alleviate the suffering in the world. And as a psychologist, I was just taught about diagnosing people. That was our job. Psychiatrists like Bill Pettit did the work. They refer to them after we diagnosed them. So I just learned about testing and diagnosing and Rorschachs and MMPIs and all of that. But we didn't get much training in actually helping people. We didn't really know how. And so I just started learning techniques, and the results were very inconsistent. Uh, People never really achieved mental health. At the best, they had some symptom reduction. But when I met Sid, I realized uh, when I met him that this was truly a paradigm shift for the field of psychology. That this was not about mental illness, this was about mental health, reawakening the mental health in people by a simple understanding, a profound understanding of the principles behind our moment to moment experience. And so for me as a professional therapist, immediately alleviated my suffering, my burnout, my stress from doing what I thought was a really hard job. Really in the trenches of working with addiction and serious mental illness. And when I heard the simplicity from Sid of the principles and pointing to me the most important fact is that this mental health, this resilience, this essence of who we are can never be destroyed. That my job was really to bring that life, help facilitate bringing that life back rather than putting something into someone like a drug or a technique. And so seeing my clients as already well and meant the seat of mental health made my job a whole lot easier. And the results speak for themselves. So thank you, thank you, thank you for documenting this in such an academic book. I think it could be used in graduate programs. Uh, it will go all over the world because this is what the world needs now. This is the help and the hope that we now need in this world, not just for mental health and addictions, but beyond that, for the division in our societies and in our planet. We face so many issues, and they all come back to a deeper understanding of mind. Because when you haven't got a deep understanding of mind, you can't think clearly. You don't have insight. You don't have those transformations. So, again, thank you so much for this. Was a labor of love, and you put a lot of work into this.
Mhm.
And
Bill, did you want to share something?
I don't, please go ahead, Joe. I don't want to interrupt your flow at all. I was just going to comment on something that Hannah said earlier, but yeah, so
Go
please
ahead,
continue.
it's fine.
Oh, Joe, okay. Well, I think what you hit upon, Hannah, and like Joe said, many presentations of one problem, but at the same time, what they're finding in neuroscience is that many of the same areas are being triggered in the state of chronic mental stress. And what's different is two things. Hereditarily, for some people, and Dicken and I have talked about this, for that what's hereditary is what is your alarm system that's loudest. So for Dicken, I think has shared so openly that his was anxiety. Mine was depression. Mine was mood. I went into to depressions. For other people, it's thought. Their thoughts start getting muddled or confused, or and many people, before they're even aware that they're anxious or low mood or thinking problems, they have some physical. They get a migraine, or they get their bowel system gets real. Or for some people, they suddenly, they're showing now that the connection between the brain and the gut, that chronic mental stress affects the microbiota with a feedback from the bowel to your brain, that your pain tolerance can be reduced by up to 70%. So people with fibromyalgia are truly experiencing significant pain, but they don't see it as an alarm system that's summoning them to stillness, to listen, and like Joe says, to listen to mind. They see it as one more problem. Gee, here I am worried about my grandson, and now I've got a frickin' headache, or I've got this or that, and so it gets into a vicious cycle. But I think what I started to say is that they're seeing that they many of the same areas, and then the other thing that is both hereditary and social is, how do you respond to the dis-ease that Joe talked about? How do you respond to that? Do you respond by eating too much? Do you respond by, doing this, doing that? And so behaviorally, your state of being that you're creating by the use of these principles, people respond to that state of being in different ways to try to get relief, to try to feel better, at least for a little while. And anyway, so I think you were onto something. That's why Caspi and Moffitt, when they wrote that article that was in the American Journal of Psychiatry in September of 2018, all for one, one for all, all mental illness in one dimension. I just got so excited because Sid, as Joe said, Sid been saying that for 30 years. I'd been saying it for 20. Joe and I had been saying it for 25 or so, or 30. And to finally hear this with Terry Moffitt from King's College, to have 137 scientific references saying that all the research is pointing to that there's one cause, of all mental illness. And they had 4 different hypotheses, but I called Tom Kelly the next morning and said, Tom, this is the article we've been waiting for. We've got to respond to this. And although it took us 22 months, to do that with Jack and Tom and Judy and I, but I mean, I think you've taken it to a whole different level, and Hannah, and as I said in my review, I don't know if it's been approved yet or whether it will be, but I said this book demands national and international dialogue and research.
Yeah.
It demands it. So you've really pushed it to a whole new level. And I finally have started dictating. I've dictated 2.5 hours, that's being transcribed. And you've been an inspiration to me to finally have enough clarity to ride on to leapfrog on your wonderful accomplishment. So I echo thanking you too for, yeah.
Well,
Anyway, stop jabbering.
thank you, Bill. I really appreciate all your support and your teaching, and your friendship has been invaluable. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah.
It's mutual.
Yeah.
You have to understand, 45 years ago, there was a diagnostic manual that pretty much was trying to label all the different ways people could act when they're caught up in thought and not knowing it. And over the years, it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it was really, the thicker it got, the more hopeless and discouraging it seemed for people who ended up being labeled with an incurable illness that they would have to learn how to cope with. So I loved how you organized your book. I love the introductory chapter to a category, and then examples of variations. And to me, your book is groundbreaking because it's the exact opposite of the diagnostic manual. Here's everything that's wrong with you, and you're saying no matter how you end up experiencing life, there's hope. And it's like the biggest book of hope that's out there right now for people who find themselves struggling. So, like Bill mentioned and Joe have mentioned, I just hope this circulates everywhere in the world because it's going to help that dialogue get going that's so necessary or to continue, that there are cures to any problem, and that those cures will lead to creating a healthy society. And if we create a healthy society, like Joe said, we're going to figure out any of the big social problems. People tapping into that universal mind wisdom are going to be able to find solutions. There's people all over the world doing that now, but if that accelerates, it's going to be life-changing. So I'm just going to leave that book out on my table, so anybody who walks into my house is going to see what's beyond diagnosis. I say, oh, you're in for a treat. You're in for a treat. So it was a daunting task. When you first told me about it, I said, oh my God, that is such a huge task. Are you sure you're up for it? You were up for it in spades. You were the perfect person to take that project on. And I can't tell you what a stellar job I think you did with it. So thank you, Hannah. Yeah.
Thank you, and I appreciate all your support and your the contribution in the book, and your friendship and your mentorship is, you know, unbelievable. Yeah,
You're such a joy to work with because you are like what they call the ideal student. It's like you're not only a sponge, but you're just so open that you just keep having insight after insight after insight. So kudos to you, my friend.
Thank you.
I hate I wanted to come on and say a few things in the beginning. I have two young grandkids who are begging for my attention,
Yes.
4 and 7. So I just could pop on for a little bit, but I didn't want to miss this party and say hi to everybody.
All right. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
Got your priorities straight there, Dicken.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Gave me the confidence to keep going. So, hi.
Wow. Well, hi. That's so great. I just really want to take the opportunity to say hi and congratulations. And, you know, I'm about a third of the way through the book. And Hannah, there's something about the accumulation of story after story after story is so powerful. And, you know, I reflect back on my time of like suffering and first exploring the principles, and in the beginning, not feeling like I was getting anywhere. But now I went back and realized all the stories I heard and the teachers, you know, like Bill and Joe and Dick and other people on this call, they would always incorporate these case studies and stories into their webinars and talks. And I realized that like when people hear about the principles, they can either say a whole range of things. They can say, oh yeah, that sounds great. Or as you know, they can argue with it. But it's hard to argue with someone's story.
Yeah.
And to me, what a story does, it opens up hope and curiosity. And as soon as hope and curiosity are open, the door is open. You know, and that's what your book's doing. And you know, I just envision like people all around the world picking this up and just opening up to a story and seeing something because it's so powerful. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. You've just reminded me, I see Cecilia's on the call. Hi, Cecilia. You know, it's so nice to see the other contributors here. Cecilia, at the end of your story, you said the most powerful thing. It really struck me. I was looking at it this morning. You said, when I found out I wasn't broken, then why do we need treatment? Right? You say that at the end of your story, and I thought, that's so right. It's like, because a lot of the treatments that we're given are like we were talking about earlier, chemical imbalances, and there's something wrong with you. Well, if there's nothing wrong with us, then we don't need all that treatment, right? Do you remember writing that?
Yeah, I remember. Thank you so much, Hannah, and everyone who's doing this together. And when you asked me what I want to write about, I couldn't by myself pick which was the one I was supposed to write about, because as you told before, I had a lot of all these things. It was addiction, it was the eating disorder, it was depression, panic attacks, I want to commit suicide, and everything. It was a lot of thoughts and emotions. So it was very difficult to just pick one little. So my story is short, but if I should tell all the things that I had been through, and when I also was staying at the treatment center, when I had my very huge wake up, I can tell it was a lot of lies. So everything came to just packed on one thing, thought.
Yes.
And how I experience this life. So
yeah, thank you.
Life isn't simple, but there is a simplicity to know that you are guided from within. But I still, like you say, we go in and out, and I really feel all my emotions, and still do, even if I have recovered from a lot of stuff. So I still feel. I'm free to feel. So
nice.
So when people say, "Oh, it's over," no, it's not over. Life is. We go in and out when we have it all emotions. So thank you for asking me to be in this together with all of you.
No, thank you. I know there's some other contributors here on the call. Does anybody else whose story's in the book? Does anybody else want to say anything? Or so we've only got a couple of minutes left. Hey, Patty. Patty said Patty's story is in the book. Hi, Patty.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
I'm going to tell you why I'm excited about this book. Okay, I have so many things I want to say, but I'm going to tell you why I'm excited about this book. Because I work for a family practice. I do the front desk, I'm the chick that answers the phone. But my boss and I, because I do 3 principles and we've been talking about this, she's actually asked me to start a new program with her called the Collaborative Care Model, where she is the physician taking care of physical health, and I will be the counselor taking care of mental well-being. What I love about your book is I can use it. I can use stories and say, look, like Heavy's on this call, and her story was so helpful for us very recently with a patient to say, look, here's the hope, here's the story, let me read it to you, let me show you what's possible. So I'm excited about this book because I think I'm going to be using it on the daily.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Patty wrote her grief story in the book, so I really appreciate you sharing that with us. And it's really amazing, and it doesn't surprise me that she wants you to to help with the clinic. That's great.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited, so we'll see.
Yeah, thank you. And Pallavi's here. Hi, Pallavi.
Hi. So nice to see you. Congratulations to your book. It's such an amazing project. And I just wanted to say thank you for asking me to contribute with my story. It was really nice for me too to yeah, write about it and like see the whole thing again, how much
Mhm.
change has happened.
Yeah.
And to me it just feels like I mean, the main thing for me was fibromyalgia and chronic pain, but there has happened so much change through understanding the three principles or understanding part of what it is talking about. And it has just become part of my daily life in every issue and everything that's happening. So I'm very grateful for it. And I'm still very grateful that you found me in the Facebook group.
Yeah, of
And yeah,
course.
I hope the book is spreading far and wide.
Yeah, yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so nice to see you. Thank you. So, Joe, we're
Thank you.
almost, I think we're out of time almost.
Yeah, it's 12:02 here.
Yeah, so I just wanted to talk about what's next because, like we were saying, I think this is going to be a wonderful resource for everybody. I wanted it to be like Patty was just saying, something that we can all draw on. So I've made a website to go with the book. It's called beyonddiagnosis.com, but there's a hyphen in the middle. So it's beyond-diagnosis. It's just easier to type. And I've got a page on there where people can add in more stories. So if people, any of the coaches, if they want to send in, case studies, or if you have clients or patients who are in the future are having, great recoveries, great transformations, then they can also add in their stories. So this is going to be like an ongoing resource, so we can keep adding to it. So feel free to look there. There's a page for where we can add more stories. And the other thing is I'm going to do a kind of a masterclass book study on this. I'm going to wait a couple of months because it's so big, right? I know it's going to take everybody a few months or whatever to read through the book. And then when, so in a couple of months, I want to, I'll start a book study. It'll be a 12-week class. And we'll go through each of the sections, like trauma and substance abuse and eating disorders, and we'll spend a week on each one. And maybe some of the contributors will come and share their stories and and give some input as well. So that's what I wanted to share with people, that I feel like this is just a beginning. There's going to be a lot more to this.
Yeah, no, this book will keep on going, and it will really. I think this book could really crack things into the profession, because people are looking for evidence. They're looking for examples, because what we're doing isn't working. We have more and more diagnoses, more and more people with problems, and there is one solution. And thank you so much again, Hannah,
Yeah, thank you.
for love. I couldn't put it down. I almost finished the book in a week. So thank you for inviting me. Sorry I was late.
No problem. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate your time and your support. It's been invaluable. Yeah, it's so nice to hang out with you now too. Yeah, and thank you to everybody else for coming. You can put the let's see everybody now. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your support and all your contributors. From the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate your everything you've done, and your stories are amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.
So much, Hannah. Thank you.